Minnesota Timberwolves notched their 6th straight win on Friday. Mike Conley scored 19 points against his former team. Karl-Anthony Towns led all scorers with 24, and Rudy Gobert had a monstrous game, finishing with 16 points, 20 rebounds, and 6 blocks, as the T-Wolves used the big third quarter to run past the Grizzlies 127-103. 7 Timberwolves scored in double figures, and one of them wasn't Anthony Edwards, as Edwards played just 3 minutes, 43 seconds before his right hip injury knocked him out of the game. But this shouldn't be a concern, as head coach Chris Finch addressed the setback after the game, saying, "It kind of flared up on him, so hopefully we could get him back right." What a start it's been for these T-Wolves. They're 17-4 on the season. They've won 16 of their last 18 games. They have the best record in the entire NBA, and they have the #1 defense in the league. What's going on, everyone? It's Luca here, back with another video. In this one, I'm going to be talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves and why they have everyone fooled. If y'all could do me a solid favor, please hit a like on the video. It helps a ton. And also, please subscribe to the channel for more T-Wolves and NBA content just like this. One of the things the T-Wolves have done a great job of early this season, which is kind of going unnoticed, is they are taking care of business against bad teams. Not being able to beat bad teams actually hindered the T-Wolves last season. They went 7-13 against the teams with the 7 worst records in the league, including a terrible 1-9 record against the Hornets, Wizards, Pistons, and Blazers. Those losses mattered because it pushed the T-Wolves to the 8th seed. And of course, they got knocked out of the playoffs in the first round by the defending champs, Denver Nuggets, in 5 games. If they had those wins under their belt, the T-Wolves could have moved up the standings, and maybe they could have made it to the second round and beyond in the playoffs. The Timberwolves aren't messing around this season when it comes to taking care of business. They improved to 7-0 this season in games against the worst teams on their schedule. They have beaten the Grizzlies, Jazz, Spurs twice each, including 2 road wins against the Grizzlies in the same season for the first time since 2003-04, and Charlotte once, on their way to a franchise best 17-4 start to the season. Now, this is not to say the Timberwolves haven't beaten good teams. They have. They have had impressive victories over the Celtics, Nuggets, Thunder, and Knicks. But the T-Wolves handling their business against the weaker teams will go a long way for them as we get closer to playoff time. Now, another thing I want to mention is the outstanding play of Rudy Gobert. Gobert had his first career game with at least 15 points, 20 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Kevin Garnett is the only other Timberwolves player to have such a stat line. Gobert also blocked his 1,500th career shot and posted his 9th straight game with multiple blocks, tying Garnett and Eddie Griffin for the longest such streak in T-Wolves franchise history. Gobert is playing like the defensive player of the year right now, and he has been unreal for this Timberwolves team. Everyone was quick to write off Gobert after his 1 season with the T-Wolves. People already saying that the trade for Gobert was one of the worst in NBA history. This is what Chris Finch told ESPN about the Gobert trade, and I quote, "We put up the 30 best players in the league on a board. At any given time, like there's maybe 3 or 4 of them available. Some aren't even available if you gave 10 picks. And if you have one you can get and he fits and does a lot of the things that we like, the more that we looked at it and the deeper we went, like just the more we felt like we couldn't not trade for him." Minnesota traded unprotected first-round picks in 2023, 2025, 2027, and 2029, and a pick swap in 2026, and 4 players in Beverly, Beasley, Vanderbilt, and Bolmaro from the roster that had won 46 games a year earlier. It also traded Walker Kessler, the team's recent first-round pick, and a player that many felt was already better than Rudy Gobert as a rookie. Gobert was coming off an off-season. I mean, he was hampered by a back injury for most of the year and just didn't look like himself. He failed to make the all-defensive team honors after 6 straight years of being first team, and his counterpart, Karl-Anthony Towns, got off to a rough start as well, as Towns was limited to just 29 games because of injuries. So those two never got a real chance to build up their chemistry with one another. After a first-round exit and a ton of questions surrounding the future of this franchise, the Timberwolves essentially had no choice but to make it work with a massive payroll piling up as max extensions for Anthony Edwards and McDaniels were set to kick in. So the T-Wolves went into the season and they had to make this work, and it was a now or never approach for them. Minnesota's big dreams and their vision are now becoming a reality to start the season. I always tell people great things take time. Gobert told The Athletic, there is no team in the NBA that can match up with the T-Wolves in terms of their length. Towns is a 7-footer with a 7'4" wingspan. You got McDaniels, who's 6'9", with nearly a 7-foot wingspan. Edwards is arguably the best athlete in the NBA. And I mean, he's got a very, very menacing build as a 6'5" wing, and he's got a 6'9" wingspan. And then you got Naz Reid and Kyle Anderson, both with 7'3" wingspans off the bench. Their only small guy is Connolly, and no one is bigger than Gobert other than Wemby. I mean, Gobert is an absolute beast. This early success has been a long time coming for the T-Wolves. They were the team that owned the worst cumulative record in the NBA since 2007, when they traded Kevin Garnett to the Boston Celtics. This T-Wolves franchise had went 13 years without making the playoffs. Now comes the hard part for Minnesota. As the league-leading T-Wolves, they traveled to New Orleans for a game Monday that is the first of 16 straight against teams with a record that is currently above 500. If they can continue to beat the good teams while handling their business against the bad teams, the Timberwolves will be in a great position to compete for a title come April. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they have just been one of the best stories in the NBA this season. Just how they've emerged, the resurgence of Rudy Gobert playing at an absolutely high level. If this team can stay healthy, they have the pieces in place. I mean, they got arguably the most complete starting five in the NBA. Their defense is the best. So much size, length, like I mentioned. And this is a team that, I mean, you look at the Western Conference, they stack up pretty well against some of the elite teams, and even in the East. So Minnesota, they are off to a rocking start. I don't think too many people saw this coming. I don't think too many people saw the resurgence by Rudy Gobert coming the way that he has been playing, especially how last season went. So let's see if the T-Wolves can keep it going, and let's see if they can continue to rack up these wins. They have been an absolute unit out there, and they continue to get it done. I've been high on this Timberwolves team. In the summer, I said, this was a team that you had to look out for. I called them a real legitimate threat at the beginning of the season, and right now they're showing why they can hang with the best of them. I mean, Anthony Edwards, when he's out there healthy, he looks like just an absolute superstar. You got the Twin Towers that are gelling nicely, and then Rudy Gobert, I can't say enough good things about him. He has really just took his game to new heights when this team really needed him to. T-Wolves fans, what has your reaction been to this Timberwolves season thus far? Let me know your thoughts down below. Hit a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Plus ring the bell for more. That is it for me. This is Lucas signing off. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all again in the next video.